Hi, this is a foreigner in the Philippines. Well, continuing on, not in chronological order, on some little parts of my life, just like to tell you what it was like in the early part. I came from a very poor area, the slums of Manchester, and for those who live in Manchester, they might remember what it was like in Hulme, Hulme, cobblestone streets, bomb sites, not a very great place. But funnily enough, I didn't know that we lived in the slums. I knew that there were better places, but I didn't really know. And I used to go to school. I went to St. Wilfrid's Secondary Modern School, and there was it was strongly Catholic. Now, I don't know whether any of you have been to a Catholic school in the old UK way of doing it, but it's a lot about prayers and catechism. You're supposed to learn your catechism, which will stay with you for the rest of your life. I can't remember a single thing about it, but yes, we used to recite the catechism. Every Monday morning, we would have to lie about whether we'd been to church or not, because if we didn't and we went down on the register as not having been to church, that was a mortal sin. And if you got killed during the week before the next Sunday came, I don't know, you might get run over or something. I mean, no fault of your own, and you go straight to hell because you've got a damn mortal sin on your soul. I never quite understood this. What, just because you didn't go to church, you're going to go to hell? But hell is forever. There's a lot of penalties when you're a Roman Catholic in the UK. There was another place as well that they used to tell us about, and that was limbo. Well, limbo was, I don't know. I always thought when I was a kid that it was like, that was where babies went when they hadn't been baptized. Well, it's a very scary thing when you're like 6 years old that there's such a place as limbo. And you have to go home and ask your mum, Mum, was I baptized? And she'd say, of course you were. You silly son, what's the matter with you? And you say, are you sure? Because I don't want to go to limbo. You're not going to limbo. That's for babies, because she'd been indoctrinated in the same way. You don't go to limbo. That's just for babies when they're not. I mean, talk sense. Talk sense. If the parents don't get you baptized and you die, you'll be in limbo. Well, Mum, what does limbo mean? Well, where is it? Well, it's this. It's on the edge of, I think, called the River Styx or Styx, and you just lie there till the Judgment Day. Well, what day is that? Well, how do I know? Nobody knows when it's Judgment Day. Well, how can you get ready for it? I mean, if you're getting ready for school on Monday, you know that you're going to school, you just get ready for it. You get your uniform out and your bags and your books or whatever, and you can get ready for it. But how can you get ready for Judgment Day? Well, you're supposed to be a good boy. Well, I'm always a good boy. My mother would say, yes, quite. I believe you. Thousands wouldn't. Boy, I grew up with that phrase. I believe you. Not Mum. I found the bike. It wasn't anybody's. I mean, it was just lying there. Nobody owned it. So you brought it home? Well, if I didn't, somebody else would have done. Right. So you didn't think it belonged to anyone? Well, no. Honest. And she would look at me like that and she'd say, yes, I believe you. Thousands wouldn't. Now take it back. and I would have to take it back, of course. Well, one of the things that happened to me when I went, actually not to St. Wilfrid's. St. Wilfrid's is another set of stories, mostly about wagging it. Now, wagging it is when you play truant. That's what we called it. We didn't call it playing truant. No, of course not. It's not playing truant. It's wagging it. I don't quite know what you wag, but whatever it is, you wag it. And that means you haven't gone to school when you're supposed to. Now, this was in another school, Bishop Billsborough, and it's probably still there on Stretford Road, for all I know. Was it Stretford Road or Princess Parkway? Anyway, they had nuns there. Very scary people. These are the ones that have, they have the black uniforms on with the white, the white headdress, and it's very starched and it pulls their faces like this. They're very scary people, a little bit like clowns. You know how clowns are viewed now. They're scary people because they have the horror clowns. Right, so there was this girl who I just adored from afar, Mary Neary. And Mary Neary was a plain little mouse of a girl, I realise now, but pretty in my eyes, and very straight short hair. Well, me and this other fella, my friend, we decided that me and Mary Neary and him and this other girl, well, let's call her Joyce, him and Joyce, well, we were going to walk home together. This is daring stuff, I can tell you. When you actually first write a note to another little girl, not another little girl, a little girl, and you say, do you want to walk home after school, And you hope that she'll say yes. Well, the trouble was, I don't know how it happened, but my note to Mary Neary and my friend's note to Joyce, they got found. Somebody, I don't know, intercepted them and handed them in. The Mother Superior got them. I can still remember they sent notes home to my mother and father, and I don't know what they put in those notes, but my mother and father got hold of me by the scruff of the neck, and they marched me down Cowsby Street to where Mary Neary lived, and they knocked on the door, and apparently Mary Neary's Mr. and Mrs. Neary already knew about this terrible deed, and we were marched into the living room. And anyway, it's such a blur, it was so terrifying, but my mother would always believe absolutely the worst. "You dirty little bugger," she said. I wrote a note saying, "Do you want to go home? Do you want to walk home later, Mary?" And Mary Neary never got a chance. I mean, she was the shyest little thing. She never said a single word. I never ever spoke to Mary Neary. So, what happened next? My parents were then called to Bishop Billsborough School in a huge, what was for me, a huge meeting of the minds, of the religious minds, and nothing is more scary than that. So we go into the office of the Mother Superior. Oh, and I'm missing out an important bit here. When we were discovered at the school, we were put into the assembly hall. Well, the assembly hall was where all of the classrooms led off the assembly hall. And it had these sliding doors, so that all of these sliding partitions would section off the different classrooms, and they could be wrapped up and slid to one side, and we'd have a huge assembly hall for the morning. Well, the classrooms were there, and the assembly hall, smaller as it was there, and I was put into the assembly hall in disgrace. The Mother Superior said, "You can stand here in case you infect the other children." Well, then came the next terrifying thing. This is Hollywood stuff, really. And what happened next was, it was put to my father that we would be expelled. Now, they expelled the other boy, and his parents stood for it. Now, my father, in an uncharacteristic show of spinal strength against the Catholic religion, said, "You're not gonna... What are you talking about? You're not gonna expel him because he wrote a note to a little girl." And so they didn't. But the Mother Superior looked down at me, and she was a towering figure, probably only 5'6", but she looked towering to me. And she stood there in her black uniform, like Batman with a bad hair day. And she said, "You have to understand that we're only thinking of your soul, because writing these notes will lead to adultery." What's adultery, I was wondering, and I never did find out until a lot later. But that's another story, I'm ashamed to say. Okay, so what's clear is this: one of my favourite movies, well, one of my favourite younger movies, The Sound of Music, was completely ruined for me by that Mother Superior. You know that part in Sound of Music where all the nuns are all there and they're all happy and smiling and all la da 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 dee. It was never like that in the nuns that I knew. They were terrifying figures. Well, we'll do this later, and I sincerely hope that you're not watching this, because you'll never sleep. I know I won't. This is a foreigner living in the Philippines. Thank you for bearing with me. It's been therapy for me. It's been therapy for me. I'm loudering my voices there. Bye for now.